Oh, hey there. Oh, what am I working on? Oh, this is the three-legged stool. As you can see, this is a stool, and it has three legs. What this stool means is that it's a form of organizational architecture. So, for example, at the top here is the goal of the organization. For our organization, it's residential community. The different legs are the support beams to reach this goal, and the cross beams are different performances, like performance expectation, performance evaluation, performance measure, and rewards that connect each of the three legs and support each other for them in order to reach this goal. On the left here, we have decision making. What it basically means is what decisions you give your staff, what decisions you want them to make. So for instance, if you're letting them choose their program, that's their decision. And how you shape what decision they make is based on your performance expectation, so what you're expecting of them. It's also how you're evaluating their performance. So for instance, if your performance expectation is that they have a program, and your performance evaluation is if you have a program, then they're just going to put on a program. It's not going to be anything necessarily great or fantastic, because all they're trying to do is just do what you want them to do, which is just do a program. However, if you expect from them to have a program centered around, let's say, writing poems, then that's what they're going to do. They're going to have a program about writing poems, and if you evaluate it based on how good the poems are, then that's what they're going to do. They're going to make sure that the people who come there make really great poems. That's pretty much how it works. And how does that affect your goal? Well, having a great program, letting them decide what programs to do, could help them influence the community, maybe by getting more community involvement. Whoa, how are they going to get more community involvement, Alex? Great question. By your performance expectation and evaluation. If you expect them to have at least one resident helping them plan this program, then that's going to help. That's going to affect their decision, and that's going to help you reach your goal. How are you going to evaluate that? Well, you tell them, hey, you didn't really do such a great program. No, don't say that. I'm just kidding. What you're going to do is you're going to evaluate them based on how well they are meeting your expectations. And that's why these two are very closely related with this decision making and why they connect to it. Now this middle column, this is the information specialist. As you can see, design an information system that realistically and transparently reflect cause and effect relationships. Now this, in our example of residential community, this one is a little bit more difficult. However, what it means is basically that you need to make sure and keep that information flowing between your staff, between you, and between the residents. How that works, what a big way to help make that work, is the weekly community development reports. That's basically a huge chunk of information for you that they get themselves. The other information that you should be obtaining on your own should be done through your community engagement, through your duty rounds, and through your just general talking to people. However, focusing on the community development reports, how that affects performance expectation, how that goes off into performance evaluation, rewards, and performance measure, I think you can clearly see what is your performance expectation. What do you expect them of their WCDRs? Do you expect them to fill out every single line? Sometimes that's not reachable. Sometimes that may dissuade them from actually doing as much work because they know they can't reach that expectation. Maybe it's simply that you have them complete it as best as they can before your meeting. Maybe it's that you have them complete it with you in the room. Stop me if I'm going too fast. Alright, so then your performance evaluation. You just look at their WCDR and make sure that they're actually worked on it, that it looks good. Is that a bug? I don't know. And performance measure. So performance measure is is basically what you are basing your evaluation on. It's a little confusing in its description here, but what it basically is that the measure that you're going to use is just community, how much you see it, how apparent it is, and how you're going to measure that is a little more difficult. It can be on your WCDR. You see that one of their successes is that they formed a study group of 7 people, and they're all on different floors. That's a great measure of community involvement and engagement. Or they put on an entire program by themselves, or they're running the community standards meetings. That definitely is a good measure of their community involvement. Now, rewards. This is something that you can do or not. It depends on what you decide. I think that rewards can be very helpful in just showing your appreciation. It doesn't have to be a gift card or anything like that. It can be a letter. It can be a simple recognition. It can be a poster on a door. I think that one way that you can reward and recognize somebody is through the Community Member of the Month. You can recognize them, send in the nomination to NRHH when they ask for them, and they can possibly be recognized as Community Member of the Month, and then they would get a reward for that. And so obviously that's very great. There's not that much work that you have to do. Otherwise, other rewards is just you can maybe start your own Community Member of the Month, that you just give them a little certificate that says you're a great member of our community. Maybe you every month you take out one resident out to lunch, just to get to know them, or it's somebody that you all agree on. Another great way is the Student Spotlight. Having a bulletin board that highlights different residents each month can really help you make them feel like they're being involved, and especially if you use it as a reward for those who have done great things. And over here, we have decision implementation. So, as you can see, it says on here, decision right to mix daily inputs. As you can see, it's a little businessy. Doesn't quite make sense. Basically, decision rights, decision implementation, is very closely, it's the opposite side of decision making. So what it means is, somebody makes a decision on something, and then somebody puts that decision into action. So, if you are not giving them a lot of decision rights, if you're not letting them make decisions on what programs they're going to do, but they have to run it by you and clear it with you, and or maybe you tell them here's the topic you're doing on, come up with something, then it really makes everything else suffer, because then they aren't making the decision, but they have to implement it, and it just creates a disconnect between the whole thing. So you really have to make sure that everything is balanced, that you're not shorting their decision-making leg, because then the stool is going to fall over. Everything needs to make sure that it's balanced and equal, and that it flows very well into each other. The implementation, you're going to want to make sure that through this implementation that they maintain these cross themes: performance expectation, evaluation, measure, and of course rewards. Make sure that through their implementation they are working towards these goals that you set for them. Now, the stool isn't something that you have to necessarily impose and put on completely, but I think that it's something that you should think about and just sort of look at and kind of picture. All right, when I'm thinking about community engagement as a goal, community, what can I do? What decisions should I give to them? What level of decision making am I going to give to them? How can I recognize them for these things? How am I going to get this information that I need in order for them to make good decisions, for me to make good decisions? And how am I going to measure their performance and measure the performance of the community? And what do I expect of them? I think that it's a very good overarching idea and things to think about. So go ahead and look it over. If you have questions about it, you can, hopefully you can kind of work through it together. If not, then you can email me or talk to me when I see you in August.